Julia, and Andy, their parents, please give us some amazing letters. As I said, my name is Matt Schmidt, and I've been lucky enough to be chosen as Andy's best man. Andy and I go way back. 22 years to be precise. That's a long time. 22 years. I mean, my friendship's older than most of my ex-girlfriends, so. Although, Andy and I haven't always been friends. Our friendship actually started as a bitter rivalry. Two Pony baseball legends destined to clash in the diamond. Andy Christopher was one of the most feared pitchers in all of Mustang A. I heard rumors of his wicked 45-mile-an-hour fastball. And standing at 5'2" at age 9, he was a little intimidating that afternoon when I stepped into the batter's box.
Fast back then.
It was fast. This is the first time facing him. Based on how many signs he shook off, I knew he was aware of my reputation for having some serious long ball power. And it only took 2 pitches to find out why. Ah, yes! I can remember like it was yesterday, watching that ball sail over the fence for my first home run. I know Andy still has nightmares hearing my first base coach, Coach Beck, yelling,
Touch the ball, Matty!
touch the ball, Matty was right. Being as competitive as we are, we despise each other all season long and always butted heads when our teams faced off. It wasn't the Cardinals versus the Diamondbacks, but Matt's team versus Andy's team. Of course, next season, wouldn't you know it, we both got drafted to the same team. Bronco A Dodgers. We went 1-25 that year. But it was my favorite year of baseball because of Andy. Without the burden of winning, we spent the entire year goofing off and swinging for the fences. I'm pretty sure he averaged like 500 and hit 20 home runs between the two of us. We've pretty much gone our way to the All-Star team, never looked back. From that Dodger team going forward, Andy and I were truly best friends. Except for that one year you got that horrible haircut in 7th grade. And nobody liked you, including yourself. Hey, case in point, I have like 100 of those printed out in case you guys want one.
Got bleach tips, they're the thing.
In middle school, I was spending more time with Andy than I was alone. Between going to classes, raiding my parents' fully stocked snack cupboard after school, being driven by my road rage grandpa to practice every day, I was around this guy from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Believe it or not, in high school, we were actually spending more time together. Thanks to the unnecessarily stringent conditioning schedule of Coach Miller and Coach Matthews, our days began at 6 a.m. swim training or a light 28-lap jog around the track and ended at 9 p.m. with gassers on the gridiron. After dominating every aspect of high school for 4 years, Andy went off to UC Davis for some odd reason. Hashtag safety school. And I went down to the prestigious San Diego State University. Well, I spent the next 5 years doing what all school college was doing, learning. Post-grad, Andy moved down to San Diego. We were roommates for a few years. We had the best time of our life, blah, blah, blah. You guys get the point. From childhood to adolescence to adulthood, when you spend that much time with another person in those critical years of your evolution, you really get to know the soul of a person. And having seen the core of Andy as a man during those 105-degree days doing Winston football pads, during those 3 a.m. conversations over a bottle of whiskey, or during those times when you just need someone to listen, or to make you laugh with one of those perfectly timed movie quotes he pulls out of nowhere. I can tell you better than anyone else in this room, including his family, that Andy's a very special person, and unlike anyone I've ever met. He's the kind of person who always puts your needs before his own. He's not having a good time unless everyone else is having a good time first. I figured that kind of selflessness was unmatched until I met Andy. I remember sitting in the Buffalo Wild Wings when Andy told me he didn't found the one. He said as a matter of fact, I didn't even question it. He had my full blessing before I even met her, and boy, did she live up to the expectations. Julia may be the most genuine person you'll ever meet. She is comprised of the perfect mixture of intelligence, humor / goofiness, mainly goofiness, and altruism. Like Annie, she's a giver, and she will always put her needs before the needs of other people, hence her profession as a doctor. She sacrificed years of her life and credit score to dedicate herself to helping those in need. Anyways, I'm thankful there are people like you in this world, Julia. Brave people. So brave.
So great.
This is so brave. Very brave. Those who say opposites attract have never seen Annie and Julia together. They are perfect complements, and the energy they create is infectious. When Annie asked me to be his best man, I immediately began recalling the past 22 years and scribbled down pages and pages of hilarious stories, amazing tales of our adolescence, and recalled memories that make Annie laugh, cry, blush, probably end our friendship. But rather than drag everyone here through our memories and a litany of inside jokes, I felt obliged to bring a rare moment of sincerity into Goofball's life. So instead of reliving the past, I want to say thank you in the present and wish you nothing but the best in the future. I don't have a brother by birth, but you're the closest thing to a brother that any sibling could ever be. I'll let you do. Congratulations.
Married. Julia is my best friend in this whole world. And when she asked me to give this speech, I immediately had to drink 2 beers and think about it for a minute. But I just want to tell you how grateful I am to be here and to be here celebrating with everyone. I can't even tell you how full my heart is. So. Julia and I met when we were 19, and we were serving coffee to the bikers and gay scene of Wichita, Kansas. And there were a lot of things about that job with my best friends. I moved back to college, and Julia and Josh threw me a party in which they bought a cake that said, "K-State sucks," and they served it to everyone around me. Since that time, we have had a lot of really stupid adventures. So many that I will think of a couple here. You all know Julia as a human doctor. And what you don't know about Julia is that her and I decided that we needed to have chickens. And so we both bought a bunch of baby chicks and decided to have little farms in the middle of the city. And one of Julia's dogs mauled the chicken, and it was still alive, and most people would have mercy killed that chicken. Not Julia. No. She calls around to all the vets, in which they tell her that'll be $75. And she says, "Oh, no. So we have a couple of beers, and Julia does surgery on this poor chicken, and it lives. No anesthesia. So, I'll figure it out, right? Yeah. So, Julia and I are often mistaken for sisters. We're often mistaken for lesbians, even in Kansas. It might be because we grocery shop together and I wear Birkenstocks all the time. But I will tell you, I still live in Kansas, and when Julia called me to tell me she met Andy, I've watched their love story grow from states away. I've never lived in the same city as them. I've never been fortunate enough to see them on a daily basis and party with them like I have with Julia. But there are things about their relationship that I could feel from states away. And here's a couple of those things. The first time I met Andy, he was making us fried chicken and waffles. And if there is any way to Julia's heart, it is through a brunch. So that was a win. And I can't even tell you the change in her voice I heard on the phone. My best friend was happy. She's the happiest I've seen her be in the entire time I've known her. And Andy just kind of charged his way into my life in this way that Andy does. And now Andy is this unshakable part of my life, and I don't think it's because I am riveting, although I clearly am. It's because I matter to Julia, and Julia is what matters to Andy, period. And it's been an honor watching their relationship grow. And it's been an honor to watch the happiness in her face and in her soul. And one thing I want to mention today is a lot of us here are really missing Julia's dad today. And Julia's dad was an absolute wonderful person to know. And he gave me one of the best compliments and worst insults I've ever gotten in my life. Because Pat said to me one day, he goes, "Oh, you know, with Mary, what you see is what you get. So depending on the day, that's great or awful." But what Pat always could pick out in people was authenticity. And I have never seen Julia be Julia before until there was Andy. And Andy brings out that authentic version of Julia that was always there, but it's just this whole new thing. And your dad would be so fucking glad to see
Here, boss. Here, boss.
I told you I couldn't have more than 2 years. But no, Pat would just have loved this whole day. And we all know that. So I'm going to end. I'm done, I promise. But I'm going to end with something. Maybe okay. So Julia, for those of you who don't know too, was actually named after the Beatles song, Julia. Beatles are a large part of Julia's identity in a lot of ways. All of her chickens were the Beatles, by the way. It was but the last line, the last lyric of the last song on the last Beatles album is, in the end, the love you take is the love you make. And Julia and Andy are going to take forward today so much love that it's just the beginning. So thank you. Everyone raise your glass to Julia and Andy.
Hearing the stories of all the friends whom I've never really met, all the folks from college on, really. Of course, I know Bob and Matt from his high school days, so all my best stuff is from that era. It's from before he got to be Andrew. Before that, he was Drew. He was Drew for a while, and then he came. Which he didn't seem to mind. But I think the first thought that comes to mind is when Andy was really not much bigger than his nephew Finlay Hartman, who's here tonight.
Finlay!
And Andy was standing out in the grass. He couldn't have been he could walk, but not much more than that. And he had his arms folded so intently. And I remember thinking then, God, I can't wait for you to grow up. And it's happened. It's just happened. And I'm afraid it happens in the blink of an eye to a lot of us. I was able to, during some of those years, introduce him to Wayne's World.
Oh, hey!
And so many of the things that we would share together were always from the movies. It was always a delight for me too that he and his sister were such good friends. And I actually worried at some point that nobody else would ever get into that group. Well, Laura grew up, she has a family, and things do happen. And now we're looking at perhaps two families out of this. It's just heartwarming for me, absolutely heartwarming. They even used to act out scenes from movies together to entertain guests.
Substitute chemistry teacher.
So,
Math too.
Prison barber.
so these are some of the early memories. But I knew that I really made a dear friend when Andy and I were in the car. I think Laura was in the back, perhaps. And Andy said to me, "Dad, I'd walk in front of a bus for you." And it came out of nowhere, and it was remarkable. And not that I needed him to be my terrific son, but that was way over the top, and it has stayed with me my entire life. So the last thing that I'll leave you with is one thing that he once told me, and I will say the same thing to him. Excellent choice, my friend.
Very nice. Jeff, everyone. Jeff, go join your son. And now, Julia, go get your brother Dylan.
The Dylan?
Let's get Julia and Dylan out on the dance floor. We're gonna do a little brother-son dance right now.